Hello, and welcome to another episode of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Listen, we are using multimedia channels to break generational curses in our thought process. Okay, if you are new here, our motto is breaking hearts, blowing minds, one conversation at a time. Now, today, this is actually a very personal episode. I know I've been saying that pretty much every episode of this season five, but we are talking about the mysteries of misogyny. Okay. For those of you who do not know what misogyny is, if you're unfamiliar with the term, I'm going to get into that, go into depth with all of that today. Okay. Mysteries of misogyny. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I got a few announcements that I want to tell you guys. Okay. If you tuned in last week to our episode of Forgiving Your Parents, the ultimate come up, okay, go back and watch that episode on our YouTube channel, any other podcast platforms. We're on all of them: Pandora, iHeartRadio, whatever. Go back and watch that. Okay. In that episode, I said that I was going to be putting some resources that can help you with your forgiving your parents journey. Okay. Two of the main resources that I said I was going to give was one, the free genogram template. Okay. If you do not know what a genogram is, go back and listen last episode. But to give you a kind of an overview of what a genogram is, it's like a family tree, okay? But instead of you tracing your lineage, you will set it up in a very similar way that you would set up a family tree. So grandparents on your mother's side, grandparents on your father's side, and you will work your way on down, okay? But instead of you kind of only putting who's connected to who or who's related to who, you actually are going to be tracking generational curses. Okay. So next to each family member on your family tree or on your genogram, excuse me, you're going to put three traits, three things that they may struggle with, three things that they have maybe carried on and passed to you, whether they're alcoholic, whether they have been divorced, whether they have, a drug addiction. You're going to be literally mapping that out. And the point of a genogram is to help you kind of see how your parents came to be the type of parents that they were to you. It helps. I did it as a mental health professional. It was actually part of me graduating. They made us do it, I think my third year of school. But yes, free template is on our website, okay, under the resources tab. When you click on that tab on heartbreakhillpodcast.com, all of those resources that are listed there are absolutely free. Now, the genogram is a software, okay, because it does all the work for you. You don't have to like actually draw out the boxes or anything like that for your family tree. It's a software you can download. It doesn't give your computer or your phone a virus. Do that, okay? The next resource that I said I was going to be giving out was the 24-hour crisis line list, okay? So there's a list on our website right now, heartbreakhillpodcast.com. Click on resources. You will scroll down and you will see the crisis line, okay? Now, these lines are full of, there's a complete list. You click on the link and it'll take you to a list. But sexual abuse, domestic violence, pretty much any type of trauma that you have experienced and you have yet to tell somebody about it. Maybe you're still in those situations, okay? Those hotlines on there are 24 hours, 7 days a week, and they are national. So if you are in the United States, okay, those lists, that phone line, those phone lines listed there, excuse me, will work for you, okay? If you click on that link and you scroll down, because I know I have a lot of international listeners as well, there is a specific place that goes by country, okay? By country for free crisis lines that are in your country, okay? Just wanted to make those announcements that are there. All right, now, mysteries of misogyny. We're in a crisis, people. We are in a crisis for women. We are in a crisis for men. Before I go ahead and get on into mysteries of misogyny, I want to jump right into Daily De Niro. Okay, that is a segment on our show where we are bringing value and interesting facts to your body, to your business, and to your Bible. Okay, so let's hop right in because this is a very important topic to me. I think I told you guys in the first episode of season 5 that our listeners actually for season 4 outweighed men listeners outweighed female listeners. And I just thought that that was so powerful. It's really difficult to capture the attention of men, most men, for a long time, especially if all you're doing is talking. Okay. So when I seen on our stats, when our staff, we had a meeting and our staff presented that, I felt very compelled to take advantage of that. Okay. So mysteries of misogyny is coming up. Okay. Daily De Niro first. Okay. Did you know, starting off with your body, did you know that laughing, okay, 100 times is equivalent to 15 minutes of exercise on a stationary bike. Okay, so let me say that again. Laughing 100 times is equivalent to 15 minutes of exercise on a stationary bike. Okay, so laughing not only increases your life, okay, but it's also proven to make you look and feel younger. Listen, you don't have to spend all your money on them creams. You don't have to spend all your money getting facelifts, Botox, all of that. Just laugh, okay? This is scientific facts for your body. Laughing will make you younger. Laughing will make you live longer, okay? That is a proven fact. All right, into your business. This is how you can use your body language, okay, as a power play in your next meeting. So a lot of us are in a time where we have all of these different loans and different things being thrown in our face. Don't fall for it. Don't take it, okay? The Federal Reserve, these rates are going to get ready to go through the roof. Now, last episode, I was telling people, look, don't fall for these shenanigans. Don't fall for these plays, okay? If you want to really make your business from the ground up, one way you can do that is through networking, okay? Now, you can use your body language, okay, in these networking meetings. Or if maybe it's not even a networking meeting, you're meeting someone of value, okay, and you want to present your business to them. You're even telling them about your business, okay? Here's some things that you can do. 3 things, okay? First way you can use your body language as a power play, okay, is lean in while you're talking. Okay, lean in while you're speaking to somebody. Now, you don't want to be all up in their face like this. Okay, that'll make you look creepy, but you want to slightly lean in when you're speaking to someone. And guess why you want to do that? Did you know when you're speaking to somebody and you lean in and you talk to them, it activates a part of your brain that is action oriented? Now, don't give me the line, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce what that part of the brain is, but you can look this information up on your own. Okay, you don't have to take my word for everything. Leaning forward in a conversation with somebody automatically releases a part of your brain that is geared towards action. Okay, so next time you are in a meeting, maybe next time you're talking to a family member and you're listening to them and you're trying to get a point across, lean in a little bit. Okay, lean in a little bit. Number 2, okay, second way that you can use your body language as a power play in your next business meeting is you can stop comfort gestures. Okay, they are distractions and they make you look less competent and confident. Excuse me. So here are some comfort gestures that people do. Maybe wringing your hands. Okay, swaying like this, cracking your knuckles, rubbing your arms, bouncing. These type of things, we do them sometimes subconsciously. I am one of those people. I like to talk with my hands. I sometimes will, if you really know me, you know that sometimes when I'm in a real zone, I'll like play with my ear and bite my lip, things like that. Okay, they make you appear incompetent and less confident. Okay, so instead, here's some alternative things. Excuse me, I can't talk today. I've been talking pretty much all day, you guys. Excuse me, I'm just coming from doing a training. But alternative things that you can do. Okay, you can hold a pen in your hand. Okay, let's say you have a real fidget problem and it's just, your nerves. Hold a pen in your hand next time you're at a business meeting or talking about your business. Okay, carry a coffee mug or a tea mug in your hand. Okay, when your hands have something in them, you're very, very less likely to do stuff like this or to crack your knuckles or wring your hands or whatever it is that you do. Okay, use a clicker or a laser while you're presenting. If you're giving a presentation to a team, you're pitching your business to maybe a group of people, have a laser or a clicker in your hand. Okay, and the last thing that you can do, okay, to kind of use these gestures instead of doing the ones that make you seem incompetent, is you can wear your hair out of your face. Okay, if you're a man or you're a woman and you have longer hair, try to wear it pushed back. Okay, you can still wear it down if you like, but try to have it out of your face so that during the meeting you're not doing stuff like this. And if you are listening instead of watching this podcast show today, I'm kind of like touching my face like I'm moving my hair out of my face. Okay, have your hair sent to the back so that you are not distracted and you are not coming off like you don't know what you're talking about. So you're not coming off like you're not confident in your business. Okay, people that are in high status, especially investors, guys, and I can tell you this from personal experience. Okay, investors, which are people that are willing to fund your business, they look for cues like that. They look for things like that. Okay, people that may be manipulative. Okay, they look for cues like that to kind of see where you are mentally. Don't be one of them. Okay, last but certainly not least, I know a lot of our business is conducted virtually. Okay, for me, I just did a training with some hosts from another podcast show And we were all completely virtual, and it was like by phone. So it was a conference call, which was kind of difficult to do when you're trying to teach something and they can't see you, you can't see them. It's all by voice. So how can you make your body language speak for you when the meeting is virtual? Okay, here's one thing that you can do, and this actually works. Okay, you can speak words that reference touch. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Speak words that reference touch. Okay, so you can say something like, I'm sending you a virtual hug right now. I'm sending you a virtual high fives right now. Okay, a study showed that when people use touch words, that the listeners are more likely to be engaged. In fact, a study showed that people are 10 times more likely to be engaged if you use touch words while speaking to them and they cannot see you. Okay, for those of you who like to jump on live links, do they still have live links? I don't know. Maybe I'm dating myself. But it used to be a phone thing called live links where you can call and you can find you a little boo. Try that out. It actually works. Okay. But most primarily, you want to use it in your business. Okay. So that was your body. That was your business. Last but not least, your Bible. Interesting fact. Did you know that the Bible started the printing publishing industry? That is right. Though the word Bible comes from the Greek word biblios, okay, which means scrolls, the Bible was actually the first book to be printed by movable type. Okay, so instead of it being written by hand, the Bible was actually the first book, okay, this is all across the world, to be typed out, to be actually published as a book, okay, from the scrolls. There's a guy named Joanne Gutenberg, I believe I'm saying that right, that probably finished the first printing around 1455. So this is actually where it gets confused or mixed up in history, where people say that the Quran came before the Bible. No, it did not. Okay, the Bible was here on scrolls many years before the Quran came into existence. However, in terms of print, okay, actual print on paper, okay, that didn't happen until 1455. And a lot of people would like to use that as when the Bible first came to be, and it is not. Okay, now make sure you keep it locked, okay, because after this small commercial that we have, I'm going to hop into today's content, which is the mysteries of misogyny. Don't go nowhere. Here at Heartbreak Hill Podcast, we realize that you could have been anywhere in the world, but you've decided to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Rose Gold will be back in just a moment to finish the content for today. Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., Channel 17 on Speak Minneapolis Network, you can find Heartbreak Hill Podcast. RoseGoldLenses.com has all the unique sunglasses and accessories for the season. Heartbreak Hill Podcast is now offering podcast services, production, host training, interview training, as well as launch planning. To find out more information about the services that we now offer, please visit heartbreakhillpodcast.com. On October 10th, 2022, our ebook, Anyone Can, How to Set Up, Create, and Launch a Worldwide Podcast and Make Six Figures While Doing It will be available for purchase on our website. This is an ebook you will not want to miss. While you're at it, please join our private Facebook group, Heartbreakers. There you will find daily inspiration as well as tips and tricks on how to recognize unhealthy relationship behavior. The link to join the private group is in the description. If you are in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area or surrounding suburban areas, Here to Serve Mobile Notary is able to help with all of your document and business solution needs. They are offering virtual notary services, document consultation, immigration document consultation, unclaimed property, and much more. If you'd like to know more about these services as well as get a quote, please send an email to htsnotary@gmail.com. If you are interested in promoting your business on our channel, please send an email to hbhp@heartbreakhillpodcast.com. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, if you're just now getting here, Heartbreak Hill Podcast, today we are talking about the mysteries of misogyny. Misogyny is one of those things that have always been around. Okay. We live in a world where if you look up any historical or current study, men get paid more than women. Okay, they are more likely to get different or higher positions than women with even less education. Okay, actually, women just recently, over the last few hundred years, even got the right to drive cars, vote. Even when you go to certain parts of the world, women are still not allowed to do those certain basic things like drive, vote, things of that nature. Okay, but that is actually not misogyny. Okay, so it may help with misogyny having men on kind of that uneven pay scale, having men be able to skip certain things in job interviews and things of that nature, and be able to be paid more than females that have better education. But that is not actually what misogyny is. The real true definition, I'll give you the Webster's definition of what misogyny is. So misogyny is a dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. Okay. Another term for this could be sexist. Okay. But it's a little bit deeper with misogyny because a lot of it has to do and is fueled by anger toward the female race, or a second class citizen type of look at the female race. Now, I'm not here to argue or change anybody's political views, but women are the weaker sex. Okay. Not in terms of value or worth. Okay. When I say weaker sex, women just, and this is just what I believe to be true because that's what my Bible tells me, but this is just what it is. Women are the weaker sex in terms of needing to be protected. We are quite way more emotionally wired than men are. Okay. So misogynistic men take advantage of that weakness and they use it to propel themselves. So in all of that to say, we are in a crisis. We are in a crisis in the United States of America where we have men that do not like women. And when I say do not like women, I mean we live in a society where men do not value women anymore. We live in a society that tells men that women, their wives, their girlfriends, whatever you want to call it, their partners should be going half on bills and things like that, and that women should not be considered special for some reason. Now, part of that is how women have grown to present themselves. I have to say that. A large part of how this world views women, especially the Black women, not all, but some, it's how we present ourselves. And a lot of times we don't give the man anything to respect. But as a whole, misogyny is, even if you are presenting yourself as a woman of value, a woman of integrity and respect, he still has a dislike for you. Now, most of you will say, what are you talking about? I'm a man and I love women. I have sex with one, I sleep with one, I date women. I'm not a homosexual. Okay. That does not mean that you're not a misogynistic man. Okay. Remember, misogyny has nothing to do with you gaining value from what a woman brings. If you ask any man that's heterosexual, they will tell you that a woman has value in terms of her body, in terms of her energy. Okay. Most men can agree on that. Okay. But in a misogynistic male's mind, that value is reduced. Okay. That value is reduced to a few things. It's reduced to how a woman looks. It is reduced to her ability to have children or how many children that she wants. Some men just literally think that women are baby breeders and that's it. It is reduced to what she can bring to the table. And that, I'm going to get into this in a moment, but that's actually one of the most misogynistic terms of our time. Okay? We live in a world, you guys, where men do not like women. This is the current world that we live in. Okay. Now, a lot of times, and I have misogynistic men that I work with. Okay. In the podcast and radio industry, let me tell you what. You can Google this or you can go on YouTube or whatever. Most of the male-based podcasts today are giving advice to these poor souls, these poor young boys, about how to treat and deal with women that are based on misogynistic views, that are based on women having to be devalued in order to be controlled, that women are something that has to be conquered in order for her to respect you or give you any type of love, that it has to be something that she's able to give to you that is not outside of her innate and natural value as a woman. Okay. So it's not always about, men just hating women because they, no, it's about how these men are treating women, what they think about women, how they are talking about women. Okay. It's sad because I'm going to tell you something that's very, very true on a scientific and I dare to even say spiritual level. Any country, and you can look at this all over the world, any country that does not value the woman also does not value the child and therefore does not value the future. Okay. Now, misogynistic men in their core and in their value are broken men. Okay. Somewhere along the line, he has been broken. He has been brought down to a level that the only way that he can prove to be who he is by the devaluation of a woman. Okay. Now, oftentimes men that are misogynistic, now mind you, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to read the definition for misogyny again. Okay. It is the dislike, contempt, or ingrained prejudice against women. Okay. So you may not have contempt for women, you may not dislike women, but if you have a prejudice towards women, you are a misogynistic male. I hate to tell you that. Okay. Now some cultures think that that's just a natural part of life, and it is not. It is not the natural part of life to just think that women are underneath a man. Weaker sex does not mean underneath. Let's just get that straight. So here's what I've come to see and know about misogynistic men, okay? Oftentimes, men that are misogynistic, okay, men that don't see that women as valuable pieces of society, men that do not see women as special, okay, he oftentimes cannot compete with other men. Okay, so a lot of these men that are doing these shows and that are coming on Facebook and are saying things. I seen one man say, women, some older women, they want to come and they're like used up women on the clearance rack, and they are this and they are that. And men that are like that generally cannot compete with other men. And what did I mean? What do I mean by that? He's not established. He's not making $100,000 a year. Okay, he probably can't read or write well. That's one thing that I've seen to come in those are some things, excuse me, that I've seen to be in common with men that are misogynistic. They are lacking very, very basic things. Okay. They are lacking drive. They are lacking ambition. Okay. So he can't compete with other men. He's not established. He can't probably read or write well. He doesn't work. If he does work, okay, he's miserable at his job. Okay. So the only way for a man that suffers from misogyny, and I'm going to say suffer, because if you can't see the value of a woman, baby, you can't see the value of life. And that's just real. If you are a man and you walk around here thinking that women are not special, or you in your mind think that women should just serve you and you shouldn't serve back, it's an illness. I'm going to say you're sick. Okay. So the only way that this type of man can feel powerful is due to controlling, dominating, degrading, downgrading a woman. These type of men, I'm going to say this again because I feel it. These type of men cannot compete with other women. These type of men cannot compete with other men. Okay. So the only way that they feel powerful, and when I say that they can't compete with other men, I mean that they're not doing what most men their age are doing. They don't have things of value in their own life. They may, and getting to the money is not a sign of value, because you can get to the money in a lot of different ways. That's not a sign of being valued. What do you have to pass on? What properties do you have? What land do you have? Are you educated? And even if you're not all of those things, because you don't have to be those things to be a high value man, but at the least of you, if you are not established as a man and who you are and walking in your purpose, okay, the only way that these men can feel powerful is by being domineering over women. Now, the reason why that's important in our minority communities, and this includes Africa, this includes the Caribbean, this includes Hispanic countries, and this includes Black America, okay? The reason why we see so much of that in our culture, okay, is because historically, minority men have not had things to call their own. They have not had the opportunities to be established. They have not had the support to be established in their own right. And what does that do oftentimes is it flips back and comes out with these misogynistic rituals and mindsets that we see today. Okay? That's the type of world that we're living in. And again, this is not against all men, because the opposite, just let me say this real quick, the opposite of misogyny is misandry. Okay. And that is a whole nother episode that I'm going to air later on this season, which is we also live in a world where women hate men as well. Okay. But just to give you kind of a context of where this is coming from. Okay. So just kind of a first point, these type of men often cannot compete with other men in their own age group and demographic. Okay, so these men are usually subpar compared to other men their age and their same race and things like that. Okay, now, so on the other hand, if they do have money and status, you can still be a misogynistic man. Okay, he sees women as proof of his manhood. So a lot of times a misogynistic man who has status and power, maybe he's not set to, be disliking women or downgrading them or being, mean towards them, but he only sees women for one or a few things. Okay? That is still a misogynistic mindset. Okay? Now, the true cause of misogyny, and I dare to say the true cause of other things like narcissism and misandry, which I just got done telling you is where women hate men. The true cause of all of this, guys, are demonic spirits. I want to let that marinate for a second. This is not something that we just one day wake up and do. Men don't usually just wake up and hate women. It could be a generational thing that is passed down. I'm going to get into that in just a little bit here, but it is a spirit thing. Okay. It is a spiritual thing. It is a spiritual sickness. When you have a man that does not like women, that mistreats women, that sees women as beneath him. Remind you, weaker sex is one thing. Seeing women as beneath you is a whole entire different other. Okay, it's a sickness. Okay, somewhere along the way, men have been tricked or downridden into believing that their value is based on who they can control. Now, again, I'm not speaking for all men. Please, if it does not apply, let it fly. If you are not this type of man, then I'm not talking to you. But if you are, I'm knocking at your door and I got the boys with me. Okay. Now, misogyny can show up in a lot of different ways. Okay. Because manhood can be broken in a lot of different ways. Okay. Prison systems, your peers. Okay. Institutional systems like school. Okay. These are all different types of causes of misogyny. Okay. So it could be nature, like I was just talking about, your environment. It could be nurture. It can be passed on down to you. You've seen women be treated in a certain way, generation after generation after generation. Okay. That's how it generally comes to be, generation after generation. Okay. Now, it is very important that you pay attention to this list that I'm getting ready to give you, because I have a small list here. It's about 10 different things of how you can kind of detect if a man is misogynistic or not, or if you are dealing with a man that is, believes in misogyny. Okay. Now, it's very important that you pay attention to this list. And I'm going to tell you why. See, this is why I love the Bible, y'all. Even if you are not a Christian or a follower of Christ, I implore you to read your Bible, okay? I wouldn't suggest that you read it from beginning to end, because if you're not looking at it with spiritual eyes, certain things will not make sense to you, okay? I would suggest to you that you start reading it in chunks and in pieces, because there is some game in there. There is some future telling in there that is so real. Now, mind you, I just got done telling you at the beginning during Daily De Niro that the Bible was written way before I was thought of, you was thought of, these computer programs I'm using to broadcast. Any of this was even thought of, okay? The Bible was written. And in it tells us, okay, in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 6, it comes on to say, it talks about in that whole chapter. Go read it whenever you get a chance. Like I said, even if you're not a Christian, I'm inviting you to go and read this chapter of the Bible, 2 Timothy chapter 3, okay? Because it goes into depth about some of the characteristics that we can see as the end times are near. And very specific in chapter 3, verse 6, it says, okay, that there, I'm paraphrasing, but it talks about how women, okay, the downfall of the woman, okay, there will be men that ease their way into the households of women. And because the women have foolish desires and they don't want to learn new ways of thinking, these men will bring these households of women down. So, in order for that to have been written, that means that God had to know that we will be dealing with a single mother problem in our households. You understand what I'm saying? That means that God knew that there will be an army of men that would be sent here from demonic places that would have spirits in them that literally put them in the homes of women to bring them down. And that is exactly what misogyny is at its core. Okay? It is the downfall and it is the intentional tearing down of a woman. Now, most men, a lot of men, I don't even want to say most, a lot of men think that the only way that they can get a woman that is, especially a woman that is above them on their level, is to somehow bring her down and humble. That is the worst. That is the worst mistake that you can do when you are dealing with a woman that has value or status, is try to play a game like bringing her down. You know, some men do this by, you know, they might pick at your appearance, tell you something that they don't like about you. Now, they already dating you. They didn't already got your phone number. All of a sudden, they don't like things about you. You know what I mean? Comment on your weight, comment on your hair, different things like that. It's an intentional trick that some of these men do in order to even the playing field. Now, if you got to bring me down to make our playing field even, that means you already feel beneath me. Let me get into this list, okay? Now, misogyny is not about gender roles, and I don't want to reduce it to just being about gender roles, okay? But misogynistic men will enforce gender roles, okay? They will enforce gender roles, meaning like women should be the one to cook, women should be the one to wash dishes, women should be the one to do this, women should be the one to do that. But these type of men also believe that women should go 50-50 on the bills. You don't think that women should, or you don't think that men should cook, they shouldn't clean, they shouldn't do dishes, but you want to go 50-50 on the bills. That is misogynistic in itself. Okay, I understand that that is a very misogynistic mindset. Okay, I do think that there are certain things that women are good at than men. I also think that there are certain things that men are better at than women. I believe this. Okay, but we're talking about roles in the household, and oftentimes men who have this misogynistic view that only women should cook, only women should clean, okay, they also think that women should go 50-50 on the bills. Sickness, okay? Another trait. He will abuse his power of service over the weaker sex to feel like a man. Okay? What I mean by this is that oftentimes that men who are misogynistic, okay, they will make women do things even if they don't want you to do them for real. So like, let's say that you got a girl, and just because you know that she loves you so much, you ask her to make you a sandwich at 2 a.m. You're not even hungry for real, but you just have the need to feel like you own or control something. So you ask her to do it. Misogynistic. Okay? They don't like their girlfriends to work or go to school. It don't have to be work or school, but in an essence, a lot of times men that are misogynistic, they are controlling over their female partners. So simple things like her wanting to go to work or go back to school and things like this. Now, I got to say something here, because if you are a woman and you're less than 25 years old, you may take this type of behavior and you might consider it to be love. Okay, you might have this type of behavior in your boyfriend that may be a little bit older than you, or maybe he's the same age as you, or whatever. But you can take that to mean that he loves you so much that he don't want you out his sight. That's not what that is. Okay, I'm telling you for a guaranteed fact that that's not what that is. A man that does not want you to do things to better yourself. He does not want you to elevate in any type of way. Okay? That is part of a misogynistic mindset. And a lot of that is fear, but we're not talking about that. Okay? I'm just telling you how to recognize misogyny. Okay? Here's another thing. He will base your value on what you can do for him. Okay. So a lot of times, if you ever hear a man like he amongst his homies, or maybe he's amongst you, he'll be talking about, oh, I got this woman. She do this for me. She do that for me. She pays this. She pays that. She'll do this. She'll do that. That is misogynistic. Okay. That is a misogynistic mindset. Okay. Now, if you have somebody that you're dealing with and he's a man and he has an issue, or he has a mindset that what you do for him is based on how much you love him, okay? What that a lot of the times means is that he wants you to take care of him in some type of way, okay? Misogynistic, okay? Now, I don't know what that music is in the background, but Satan ain't gonna have this episode, so I'm gonna keep going, okay? Now, they don't believe in mutual respect, okay? Men that are misogynistic don't believe in mutual respect. So they believe that a man is the only person in a relationship that should have respect. And what I mean by mutual respect, so he can scream at you and he can yell at you and he can say certain things to you, okay? But what he can't take it if you do those same things back. So all of a sudden, if you start yelling at him back, or you start saying things to him back, or you start, sticking up for yourself and being assertive. Now, mind you, he's already yelling at you. He's already calling you out your name. He's already doing all these things. When you start doing it back, okay, you are seen as disrespectful. You are seen as hard to deal with. You are seen as somebody who is too much mouth, or whatever it is that they want to call it. The point is that these type of men, okay, they do not and they cannot believe in mutual respect. Okay, they do not have a consistent maintainable income. I'm not talking about block beating. I'm not talking about collecting an SSI check. Let me tell you something about a man that I know to be true. All men in their DNA are wired to provide for their family. Okay? All men are designed and wired to provide for their family. That's why if you ever see a man that don't work a job, I'm not talking about just getting an income, because you can get an income, you could be on a block, you can get an SSI check. There's a lot of different ways for a man to get an income. But when you see a man that does not work a job, that does not run his own business, he is innately depressed. He is depressed. Men that do not have their own source of income are always depressed, but they are oftentimes misogynistic. For some reason, maybe they don't have the skill set, maybe they don't have the education, maybe they don't have the experience. Whatever it is, the reason why they cannot produce their own income, okay? It is based on a choice that they have made outside of you and outside of me, outside of whatever woman that they've been with, okay? It is 2022. There should be absolutely no reason on God's green earth why you, as a man, cannot produce income, even from your phone. If you got an iPhone, Android, whatever, it's 2022. Let me tell you something. And a lot of, I'm gonna just say this, because a lot of men feel that if they beat the block, that they are providing for their families. No, you're not. Let me tell you something about hustlers in general. Can go for men or women. In order to make it in the drug game, you have to be either a real big fake or a real big snake. Frank Lucas, Scarface, all of them days are long gone. There are very, very few, I'm talking about less than 5% of men who are out there beating the blocks every day, pushing drugs, pushing bricks, whatever you want to call it, and are really making it to live and be successful for generations. That is out the door. You have to be a big fake or a big snake nowadays to survive in that type of environment. So working a job, he won't have a consistent, reliable, honest way of getting a check. Okay, he will be dependent on the government. A lot of misogynistic men that come into my office are oftentimes receiving some type of help from the government. And if there's something physically wrong with you or mentally wrong with you to the point where you cannot work, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the men who are playing the system for an SSI check because they don't want to work. I'm talking about the men who maybe their mamas put them on SSI as a child. If you were 80s and 90s, baby, we know what the scam was. Okay, mamas, y'all was wrong for that because it really destroyed a lot of men's self-esteem by doing that, because I talked to them, and that's a lot of where their low self-esteem stems from, especially in the workforce. They have been brought down and reduced to an SSI check. But I'm talking to the ones that are collecting these checks knowing that they are able-bodied and could work, but they have gotten comfortable in receiving that income from the government. Okay, multiple baby mothers. Now, not all men who have multiple baby mothers are misogynistic. No. What's misogynistic about having multiple baby mothers is the men who literally say out their mouth, I want to have multiple baby mothers. I want them to be of different races. I want them to be, different colors, different shades. I want to have multiple baby mothers because I want to multiply in the earth. You know what's wrong with that and why that's a misogynistic thing and that's a selfish thing? That's because you cannot father all of those children at the same time. I don't even care if you're wealthy. You can probably provide for them. Now, most of the men in our culture, now we know that these men that are having these multiple babies by these multiple baby mothers are not providing. They're not. But for the ones that are able to provide, like we could think about rappers, we could think about different entertainers, for example, who are out here literally impregnating multiple women at the same time. Okay? Why is that misogynistic? You can't father all them children at once. Somebody is going to be lacking your presence. Some household is going to suffer because you can't be in more than one place at one time. You are not God, and no matter how many babies that you have, you will never be. Okay? Now, here's the next one. Sign, mind you, if you're just tuning in, I'm going over some signs of misogynistic men. Okay? They speak negatively, publicly about women. Okay? What do I mean by that? Now, this is different from stating your presence. On TikTok the other day, I seen that this man said that he prefers white women. And TikTok went crazy. It was another episode that I seen. It was actually a podcast. I'm not going to say the name of the podcast because I don't, I'm not trying to start nothing. But man on the podcast saying that he has a preference for women that are less than 150 pounds. If you over 150 pounds, he will not date you. That is a preference. You can't get mad at somebody's preference, okay? If they don't like you, they don't want you, they don't want you. What I'm talking about where it comes misogynistic is where you see men saying stuff like, listen, ladies, men don't like fat women. Or I can't stand dark-skinned women, man. You see the difference there? The difference is you stating what you like, okay? That's preference. Saying what you like is a preference. But when you get to saying what is unattractive for all men, when you get to talking about or telling a woman that she's unattractive because that just is for you, brother. You may not like women that look like this or that are dark skinned, but there's plenty of men that prefer dark skinned women. You may not like women that are over a certain weight, but there are men that literally prefer bigger women. I used to be 300 pounds. I know this for a guaranteed fact. There are some men out here in this world, and they're not chubby chasers or they not looking for no woman to take care of them. No, they literally just prefer bigger women. But when you see men and they are talking about, the things that make a woman ugly, and it's based on simply their taste, but they're using it as a way to down a woman, that is misogynistic. That is misogyny at its finest, okay? I think I kind of already talked about this, is that they believe that women love them when they do what they say or that gives them things. There are certain type of men out here, and it's rooted in misogyny. They believe that if you don't give them things, or they believe that if you don't do nothing for them, that you don't love them. These are the type of men that I said earlier that you may hear bragging about the stuff that women do for them. It's a sickness. Okay? These type of men also believe that women should serve and submit, but they don't believe that men should serve or submit to their wives. By the way, submit does not mean bow down. You know what submit means? Submit means yield. It means yield. It means I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to say this thing, even though I have the power to. I'm not going to do this thing because my partner asked me not to. That's what submit means. Okay. So if you have a man that you're dealing with and he doesn't believe that men should serve and submit to women, and that's only a woman, that only women should serve, only women should submit. That is a misogynistic man. Okay. Another sign of a misogynistic man, they generalize women under specific terms or categories. They will say phrases like, you women, women always think they special. Why do women always do this? This is one thing about all, whenever you hear that kind of generalization of all women like that, that's a hurt man that's dealing with misogynistic issues. He got a misogyny demon in him. I'm telling you. Okay. Another sign of misogyny. If a woman doesn't stay with you, that she doesn't love you. A misogyny demon will tell a man that if a woman doesn't deal with your cheating, if she doesn't deal with your abuse, then she must not really love you. Let me tell you something. Love is not a feeling. Love is an action. And this world got their idea of love all mixed and screwed up. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 gives you a breakdown of exactly what love is, and it has nothing to do with accepting trash, and it has nothing to do with how you feel. Okay, now don't get me wrong. I want to clear this up real quick because I just feel the need to say this, that there are certain characteristics that all women have. That's true. Most, I mean, like if you there are general things that you could say about women that are true. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the men that have been hurt and they are dealing with this misogyny demon, and they have a generalizational idea of how all women are. That's misogyny. That's a prejudice. That's misogyny. Okay. Next one. Unable to compliment women. Okay, or have issues with women being complimented in their presence. Okay, these type of men believe that if you give a woman too much praise, that her head will get big. So I'm not gonna tell her she cute. I'm not gonna amp her up because I don't want her to be too misogynistic. That's a misogyny demon. That's a sickness. Okay, now let me tell you something else, because I'm pretty much wrapping up here with this list. I want to tell you that a man can have sex with you, live with you, and still hate you, still not like you, still have contempt for you. Okay, not all men, but most men have a very high capacity to be uncomfortable. Let me say that again. Lots of men have a very high capacity to be uncomfortable. So that means that he can live with you, he can have sex with you, he can call your phone every time he want to get busy with you and not like you, and not really like you as a woman. And the reason I feel the need to say this is because sex is a basic need for a man. It's a basic. I mean, like how I can get thirsty right now and take a drink out of my water bottle. That is a very basic need. So when I see women and they're on social media, and it could be their baby father or their husbands or whoever it is, and they're saying things like, he always comes back to me. That is not a flex. I see women that even, they are dealing with men and they say, I only have sex with him when I want to. It's my choice. I'm in control. No, you're not. Woman, understand me. When a man is calling your number because he wants to get busy with you, I need you to know that there's no power in that. Don't you know that the reason why he calling you is because he know you gonna answer? Or the only reason why he keeps coming back to you for that, to get that itch scratched, is because he knows that you're gonna be the one that do it with less resistance. So women, please get this out of your mind, that you're in some type of control when a man has sex with you or when he keeps engaging with you. Let me tell you something else. A man could cry, they can beat on your door, they can pop up at your house, they can send you money and send you gifts and still hate you, still have contempt for who you are as a woman. And you know how you can prove that to be true? Because of how he will treat you once you let him back in your life. How he will treat you will show you his contempt for you or his dislike for you. Misogyny demon. So I felt the need to really say that to women out here, because we base our power off the wrong things. Listen, as a woman, you are powerful because you are a woman. That is your superpower. The energy that you come through, the essence that you are, the ability to give life, even if you're barren, you have a womb still. That makes you powerful. It's not about this man returning to you. oftentimes he's returning to you and coming back to you because you put up the least form of resistance. Okay, I just felt the need to say that. Okay, so mind you, that my whole point in saying that is that men have a very high capacity to be uncomfortable. Okay, next one, signs of misogyny. He puts his hands on women in a violent way. Now, I'm a 90s baby. So a lot of us, and I'm an early 90s baby at that. Okay. So a lot of us who grew up in the 80s and who grew up in the 90s, okay, we watch movies like Baby Boy. And so go and Google it if you know I have listeners that are international. If you don't know the movie, look it up on YouTube or whatever. But in that movie, they weren't necessarily fighting, but he slapped her. And then they had really good mind-blowing sex after. And we have come in our society, especially as minorities, to take that and normalize it. That is a misogyny demon. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay? When a man has the capacity to choke you, kick you, slap you, pull your hair, that means that he has lost all emotional control. He is closer to being a female than he is to being a male. And that's why a lot of times in these domestic violence situations, okay, and the men are hurting these women or killing these women, it's by accident because he has no emotional control. He has devalued himself. Devalued himself. It is demonic. This tattoo that I got on me, 2 Timothy, okay? 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says that fear is a spirit, and that the spirits that come from God, one of them is self-control. So automatically, when a man has the ability to put his hands on you, listen to me, and I'm not judging nobody because I done had a man knock me upside my head, more than one. I done dated more than one man that has abused me. So this is not me coming at women that are in those situations or women, wives that are married to men that do this to you. I'm just here to tell you that it's wrong. I'm here to tell you that it's not right, and that is a misogyny demon inside of that man when he gets that angry to that point where he slaps you, where he pulls your hair, where he chokes you. And not only that, it's generational. Because see, your daughter and your son, if you have children, are watching you. And while the man that you're dealing with, he may slap you, he may choke you when he's get angry, but guess what? Your daughter or your son, that's going to escalate. So your daughter might get with a man that blacks her eye every time he gets mad at her. Your son may grow up to be a man. Okay, maybe he's not slapping a woman, or maybe, but he might be the type of man that busts a woman's mouth when she says something out of pocket. It's a misogyny demon. Okay. Next thing. Okay. He refers to women as the B word. Now, or calls them the H word. Now, I know we listen to rap music for entertainment purposes that refer to this. I don't agree that men should refer to women as that. Oftentimes, when I bring this up to men, especially in like group therapy sessions, they'll say stuff like, well, her friend calls her that. Her friend, that's right. Why are you comparing yourself to a female? If you have a woman and she asks you not to call her the B word, or if you're one of them men that just naturally refers to women as the B word, you have a misogyny demon inside of you. Okay? I'm just telling you this. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm telling you that it's wrong and that you need to change your language and your verbiage. Okay? If her friends is calling her that and they calling each other B words back to back, that's just like saying, you shouldn't be mad that I call you the B word because your friends call you that. That's like a white person walking up to you and calling you nigga, saying the N word to you. And then they come out their mouth and say, the only reason I'm calling you that is because I heard your other black friend call you that. See what I'm saying? That don't make sense. Okay? He will curse you out or call you names publicly in front of his peers or in public in general. That's a misogyny demon. If a man lacks self-control and anger to the point where he does that to you in a public setting, does that in front of your children, does that around your family and friends, that is a misogyny demon inside of that man. And he needs help. And maybe you need help too if you've been dealing with that a long time. No judgment. I done dealt with all kind of stuff. Listen, no judgment. But I'm just here to tell you that it's wrong. Mind you, Heartbreak Hill Podcast, our goal is to change your mind, to change generational thought patterns of things that you thought were normal and make them unnormal so that your children and your children's children can be better. Okay? Here's the last one. He will try to pin women against each other. Okay? So That is a misogyny demon because it's kind of a divide and conquer tactic that men who are misogynistic use. So some of the things that he may do is he may compliment other friends and family in front of you, but never compliments you. Okay? He will tell you things that his ex said about you or that his baby mama said about you. Okay? He will come home telling you about women at work, and this woman, she's feeling me, or I seen this woman today, she was looking, I'm not talking about in a way of some men just like to share everything with their partner. But if every time your man get a job and he's coming home telling you about somebody at work that woman, he ain't that fan, trust me. I'm just telling you, I'm just keeping it real. I'm not trying to break nobody down here, I'm just telling the truth. Sometimes misogyny leads men to play games on your psyche. Don't let them do that to you. This is not all men, by the way. I am not a man hater. I love men to the death of me like I love myself. Okay? But misogynistic men are destroying women and their value, and it's time out for it. Okay? Now, what misogyny really is a man's attempt to reclaim his manhood. When you see a man treating a woman poorly, that is due to him not feeling like a man in his own right. Somewhere, somehow down the line throughout the course of his life, he has been broken down. His value has been severed or cut short. Now, at the beginning, I said this can happen in all different types of ways, but I'm going to get into really quickly here how we as a culture and how we as fathers and how we as mothers or any type of guardian, because you don't have to be a parent to raise a child, you can be a guardian of a child, but these are some ways that we perpetuate misogyny. And when I name these things, I want you to take a close look once this episode is done about how you fit into these categories, and I want you to do something about it. Okay, I don't want you to just hear these things and don't just feel hit, don't just feel condemned. Do something about these things that I'm getting ready to tell you. Okay, now as a culture, how do we promote misogyny? How do we promote for our little boys and our young men and our big men and our grown men? How do we promote the hate for women and the disgust that some of these men have for women? I'm going to break it down right now. Boys will be boys. That is a sick term. Don't ever use it again. Boys will not be boys. Boys will be what we teach them to be. So when you have a boy and they are doing things that are wrong, they are getting in trouble, they are, running the streets, they are doing dishonest things like cheating on their partners, don't talk that boys will be boys crap. Okay? He will be held accountable for his actions, whether you're the one to do it or whether it's the world that got to do it, whether it's law enforcement. You can't escape accountability forever. And boys will be boys is one of those terms. Men will be men. That's a misogyny demon. Stop spreading it. Okay? Another way we as a culture promote misogyny, telling young boys to stop crying, shut up crying. Not allowing boys to express themselves. Now, don't nobody like no crybabies, period. Okay? But calling a boy a sissy or calling him soft for crying is wrong, because you know what those men grow up to do? They grow up to call people like me and to talk about why in all their relationships they can't connect emotionally, or why their emotional IQ is zero. Instead, when you see a young boy crying or you feel like he's too much of a whiner or he's too soft, you teach him how to express what he feels using words. Go to heartbreakhillpodcast.com and you click on the resources tab. There's a lot of free resources there. One of those resources is an emotion wheel. Okay? And on that wheel is a lot of other emotions between mad, sad, and happy. Okay? Teach your boy child how to use his words to express his emotions. Okay? Teaching your child lack of discipline. You're not disciplined. You see your son and he's masturbating at an early age. You see your son and he's uncontrollably talking back too much. No sense of self-discipline at all. Okay? And you do nothing about it. That is promoting misogyny, because that little boy is going to grow up, and if he can't control those desires, he can't control that mouth, he can't control his sexual desires, he's going to be in big trouble. He's going to bring shame on not just the culture, but on his family as well. Teach self-discipline early as you can in your boys. Teach about teaching them to know how to be quiet. Teach about, every boy, they get to a certain age and they get curious about their genitalia. Teach them what sex really is and what it's meant for, and how it's not just about self-pleasure. Okay? All right. Next one, telling a boy that if a girl hits him first, that he should hit her back. That is the worst thing that you could ever tell a boy. You want to know why? Part of the things that I do is domestic violence groups. And a lot of the men that come in there, they say, she hit me first. This is the part that you're not telling your boys, and why that's the worst advice that you can give a male child in this world, especially in the United States of America. The law don't care nothing about that woman hitting him first. If a man gets a domestic violence on his record, that is one of the worst charges that you can get. Don't you know that jobs will hire somebody with a drug case on their record before they will hire a man that is domestically violent, that has domestic violence on his record? Teach your sons, teach your whatever boy that is in your life, or whatever, however you want to say it, as a culture. Stop telling these boys to hit these women back. Instead, you teach your son, or you teach your boy, your homeboy, or whoever it is that's a boy in your care. You teach them that if a woman put her hands on him, that should be the last time he ever deal with her. I don't care how good, how much you like her, how good she look. Don't you ever teach a man or a boy to hit a woman back when his life will be ruined. The police, the judge, ain't nobody trying to hear that when it comes to a man. Because even if you don't agree with the Bible, but like the Bible says, it's the same thing the law say. The woman is the weaker sex. Teach him how to dial 911 on that heifer if she put her hands on him. Teach him that if a woman can put her hands on him, that is not a woman that he needs in his life, period. That's what you should be teaching them, okay? Last thing of how we as a culture, and then I'm going to get into how mothers and fathers, and we run out of time here, but we got about 20 minutes, and I'm going to make it quick, okay? Telling him not to trust women. This is kind of an old school thing, but I'm seeing it a lot more and more, especially in the podcast and radio industry, that men and women, even mothers, are telling their sons, telling their cousins, don't trust women. That is the worst advice. That advice is going to haunt that man for the rest of his life. And even if he get a good woman that is worthy of trust, he won't be able to trust her. And when a man don't trust a woman, he's very often unfaithful to her. Instead of telling the boy in your life or the man in your life, don't ever trust women, teach him the difference between women that are trustworthy and women that are not. One thing about it, and two things for certain: women that are not trustworthy, they all got the same characteristics. All of them. They all got the same criteria, and they all have the same kind of mindset when they are not trustworthy. There's things that you could tell about a woman if she's trustworthy or not before you even date her. I think that'll be an episode that I'll throw in there. How to detect if a woman is not trustworthy. She shows you within the first few minutes of you talking to her. You can tell if a woman is not trustworthy or not. Don't teach your boy child or your boys in your life not to trust women. That is horrible advice. Instead, teach them the difference between a woman who is worthy of trust and a woman who is not. Okay, now let's get right on into it. I got father and mothers where I break this thing down. Now, as a father, here are some things that you do to create misogyny in men. Here are some things that you do that make men not be able to treat women properly, not be able to value women properly. The first one is obvious: not being around. Okay, listen, even if it's by way of phone call, letter, email, whatever it is, make your presence known to your boy child. I don't care how long it's been. I don't care what your relationship is like. Not having a father in a boy's life, even if they're a grown man, because if he's never been fathered, he still needs to be fathered, even if he's grown. He still needs that. Get in tune with that, because that places a certain type of anger in a boy that makes him take it out on his partner. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. Okay? Seeing you cheat on your mother or your girlfriend. You stall a man's manhood when you do that. Fathers, uncles, whoever you are, whatever father figure role that you play, when you allow a boy to see you cheating on women, you create a false narrative in his mind that you can love a woman but still lust after other women and want other women. That is a false narrative. Real women ain't gonna deal with that for her, especially when her self-esteem gets in a certain place. Now, if her self-esteem is low, she might deal with that, and usually that doesn't last a lifetime anyway. Either the man ends up finding somebody else, or he dies before they can really be happy. Something happens to where you don't get to enjoy that relationship fully when you stick around a man that constantly cheats on you. I'm just telling you the facts, okay? When you show your children, when they see you have different and multiple women around them, especially as a boy, you create a false narrative and you pass that misogyny demon on because you're showing him that women are not valuable. And let me tell you something. Of course, it's not natural for a man to want one woman, but when you're strong in your spirit and you walking in God's purpose, one is all you need. One is all you need. Okay? Having multiple baby mothers. I kind of touched on this already. Fathers, if you have multiple baby mothers, if you already have them, it is what it is. But moving forward, you need to express to your son the danger and the stress that there is no men that come to me that are more stressed than a man that has multiple baby mothers. It's sad, especially like when they're trying to do good in life and they're trying to prepare, and they got all these different women with these different problems, and they didn't have babies by them, and some of them, most of them, weren't even in relationships with these women. But it creates misogyny. Why? Because again, it devalues the woman. You misuse a woman's womb in purpose when you have multiple baby mothers. Now, if you've already done it, it is what it is. Nobody's judging you. But I'm just putting something on your temple for you to think about. Okay? Seeing you hit a woman. You break something in a boy's spirit when he sees you hit a woman. And by hit, I mean choke, I mean slap, I mean pull hair, anything that's physically violent. You are perpetuating, as a father figure, you are perpetuating misogyny. Okay? You don't work an honest job. You can't hustle forever. You can't collect SSI from the government forever. Okay? And when your boy child sees you unable to work a job or not working a job, that is what he's going to grow into. That is what he is going to do. Okay, there is no such thing as getting something for nothing. You might get away with it for a little bit of a while, but your son might try to get out on the block and get caught up right away. Misogyny. Okay, last how the ways that a man passes on this kind of misogynistic traits. Okay, how fathers create misogyny in young boys is you have no spiritual life. Now, I like to let people do whatever it is that they see fit to do. I do what it is that you want to do. I'm with God on this one as far as free will. Now, I believe in my heart, and I've seen, and it's been proven to me that the one and true way is through Christ, through the word of God, through the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But whatever your spiritual life is like, you need to have one. Because without it, by default, your son, your nephew, whoever it is that you're a father figure to, will suffer from misogyny. And I say suffer because misogynistic men, they grow old alone. Or even if they don't grow old alone, they grow old with women that have no substance and no value. Women. Now, mothers, this list is a little bit longer because oftentimes there's more pressure on you because we live in a society where single mother households are common. Single mother households are very, very common. So it's a little bit more pressure on you in terms of making sure that your boy child does not grow up to have that misogyny demon in him. Okay? It's a little bit more pressure on you, but that's okay because it can be done. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it right off. Sexual industry jobs. I have grown men that come in to talk to me. They call me on the phone, whatever. And they have a deep dislike, distrust, hardened heart towards women. And they can't figure out why. When I begin to talk to them and I begin to pick their brains and ask the questions that I was trained to ask, a lot of the time, their mothers were involved in the sexual industry, Pornhub, stripping, OnlyFans, doing outright porn. All of that, presenting yourself in that type of way as a mother, it destroys your boy child inside. It breaks him down, and it breaks down the value of a woman in his eyes. I want you to think about it like this. 80s and 90s babies especially, because if you grew up in this era, you know what I mean. If your parents was on drugs, okay, and there's a certain type of shame that comes with your parents being on drugs, especially when people in the neighborhood know it. That is the same type of shame that that boy carries when you as a mother are in the sexual industry. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to condemn nobody. I'm just telling you that your boy child is suffering from you working in that industry. I'm not comparing the act of being on drugs and being in the sexual industry. I'm not comparing the acts. I'm comparing the feeling that a child has. So if you are thinking about quitting that industry and you're not sure, for your boy child, do it. Let him have some type of dignity in his mother. That brings me to the next one. Hearing you have sex. I'm going there today. Your boy child, when he hears you moaning and groaning and being knelt by a man, whether it's his father or not, but especially when it's not his father, especially when it's different dudes on a fast level, you break him down inside. You break a man down inside when he hears you having sex. You break a man down inside when he sees you going back through man after man after man after man. That breaks a boy down inside, and it creates that deep contempt and that distrust and that disgust that I was talking about that men have, that men with the misogyny demon have. That creates that. This is something that your son will never tell you this. But we have a lot of mothers out here who had children young. So you probably don't look at it like this, but I'm telling you, if nobody told you this before, it's the same way. I seen on TikTok a girl had her son was probably like 10 years old, and she had him taking pictures of her. Now she was dressed provocatively, sticking her butt out, and he's taking pictures of you. He will not tell you because a lot of the disgust and a lot of the hurt that is caused by that is subconscious. So he might not even notice it until he run across a counselor like me and I begin to ask them questions and I can kind of get there and I can kind of see there. Okay? If you've already been doing this or if you've already done any of these things to your son, it's not too late to apologize. Okay? But you got to get that thought out. You have to restore your dignity as a mother. Okay? Another one, you call him the B word. You call him a sissy. You call him faggot. You calling him these different types. A mother's words can break or make a child. And when you are calling your son out his name, especially as a young boy, telling him things that he's not a man, calling him the B word especially, you break a little boy down inside. You break a man down inside when he hears you saying these types of words to him. You may say, okay, I've done it a few times because I'm angry. Stop doing that. Ask God to take those types of things from your mouth as your boy child is growing up. He will grow up to be misogynistic. You do not want that. I'm going to keep going. You make him play slow to get an SSI check. This is something that's not talked about. You break a little boy down inside when you have him going into them people's office playing crazy and ain't nothing crazy about him. A boy being delayed in school is not a sign of him needing SSI. A lot of these tests that they take to determine the reading abilities of our little boys are not made for minorities. So you get a little bit of a glimpse that he might be a little bit delayed or might be a little bit hyper. ADHD is a number one thing that I see too. You get a little bit of glimpse in that and you're ready to go get this little boy and put in all these special classes where people in the school are talking about him and picking on him and calling him slow and all of this just so that you can get a check. I want to tell you this, before you put your sons on any type of disability, before you put your children on any type of diagnosis, get them in sports first. Wait until they're at least 10 years old, not before you get them in sports, but before you think about medications and this and that, because minority children, especially minority little black boys, are born with genes that make them hyperactive, guys. Look it up. This is science. Don't over-medicate and send these boys on these medicines at these early ages, sending them in there to get these SSI checks. Okay, and that's not really what they need. Get him in some sports. Wait until he's at least 10 before you think about getting him on some type of medications. And right away at this hyperactive age, whatever age it is where he's hyperactive, get him into some sports. And I guarantee you will see a change. Because if you get him in this type of system for people with disabilities and he's not really disabled, he will grow up angry. He will grow up angry and he will grow up blaming you. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? Next one. Okay, and this is the last point for the mothers. When you allow your boy child to see men mistreat you, When you allow your boy child to see you being cheated on, their father or otherwise, see a man putting his hands on you, choking you, slapping, see a man that is constantly cheating on you, you are creating misogyny in that little boy. You are teaching him that that is the way that a woman should be handled. You are teaching him that that is the way that a woman should be treated. And even if he grows up, because not all men who grow up, who see their mother being beat on, grow up to hit their women. But all men who grow up and see their women, see their mothers being treated like that, all of them grow up to be disrespectful towards women. All of them grow up to argue back and forth with women all the time and things of that nature. Just really have the ability to get on a woman's level. Listen, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to change the way that you think. Now, what is the cure? What is the cure to misogyny? I'm going to give it to you right here. If you are a misogynistic male and you fell into any of those categories that I named, there's a few cures that you can do right away. The first thing is you need to get in alignment. That's the first cure. You need to get in alignment with who God says that you are. Whatever your spiritual practice is. Now, the Bible makes it clear what a man is, and he makes it clear what a man should or should not do, and how a man should behave and care. You know, in the Bible, instead of saying man, a lot of times you might see the word king. Okay? It's clear as day in the Bible. But whatever your spiritual practice is, get in alignment with what God says about you. Not what your parents said, not what your ex-wife said, your ex-girlfriend, what society. Get in alignment with what God says about you. Now, in order for you to do that, you got to know the word of God. Okay? And the second thing that you can do to cure misogyny is you can forgive your parents, specifically your mother. Oftentimes, and not all the time, the root of misogyny is the hurt, pain, and shame that was caused by a mother who either didn't know better or who knew better and just decided to do worse in spite of knowing better. But forgiving your parents is the cure to that misogyny. The next one is educating yourself. There are things that you can look up. There are YouTube, there are podcasts, there are all types of things that you can look to see on how to treat a woman, how to increase your emotional intelligence. That's all for today. Look, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. All right, listen, stay tuned because I'm coming back with the question of the week. All right, listen, if you are just now tuning in, I'm going to need you to run that back. I'm going to need you to run that back, Turbo, because we just got done talking about misogyny, the mysteries of misogyny. We talked about what it is. We talked about how we as a culture spread it. Okay, we talked about how women spread it in their boy child and how fathers spread it in their boy child, and kind of the detriments of that, and how misogyny is generally a generational thing. Okay, now question of the week, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. All right, we got it going on. We got more time today, and I'm thankful. Okay, so here's the question of the week. This is anonymous, by the way. I did not get the name or the location of this person, but this was wrote to me, and it says, "Hi, I saw your post on TikTok." Real quick, the post that she's referring to is I made a video, I think a few weeks back now, on TikTok, where I said 5 ways that you can determine if there's a predator living in your home. I also did an episode 2 episodes back where I talked about how to catch a predator in your home. Go back and watch that. Go to the TikTok at Rose Gold Covered. The link to our TikTok is in the description of this episode as well. But this is what this young lady is referring to, just to give you a context. Okay, so hey, so I saw your post on TikTok, and I wanted to reach out to you on something that happened to me when I was a little girl. I feel so guilty about it, but I was only a little girl and I didn't know much. But I now see the person who sexually assaulted me almost every weekend at my parents' house. And girl, I do not know how to come about this. He had kids, not a girl, and I have had my kids, and I now have a husband. I don't let my kids go to my parents' house on the weekends. I don't know what I should do. Now, a lot of us have friends and family members, or maybe family members of friends who may have touched us when we was a child. And maybe at the time when we was a child, we didn't know that what they was doing was wrong. Or maybe we participated in it, but just based off the fact that, this person was a authority figure, or maybe they were some type of father or mother figure, whatever, for whatever reason that you participated in this act, okay? You were a child. And if you weren't a child, because sometimes this can happen as an adult where somebody much older than you takes advantage of you, okay? I'm telling you, sweet baby girl, and I hope you are listening to this, mamacita, you should tell. Tell your parents. Maybe you're not comfortable telling his girlfriend, whatever. Tell your parents. Tell your husband what happened to you and tell them who did it. Let me tell you why. I don't care if it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago that a family friend touched you or did something to you. Child abusers usually don't stop until they are caught. This is not just me talking. This is also a scientific and a criminal fact as well. They usually do not stop until they are caught. And up until you blow the whistle on that joker, you are putting other children in danger. And I hate to say it like that because it is never your fault if this individual goes off and touches another child, or they go off and that is a sickness that they are dealing with, okay, that they need to have help with and they need to be held accountable for. But you must say something, because in you saying something, not only are you going to set yourself free, but you are also going to save other victims that may or may not already have suffered from the hands of this joker. Okay, that's my answer to that question. Listen, if you have questions, okay, send them to me, okay, hbhp at heartbreakhillpodcast.com. Otherwise, you can put it in my inbox. I'm on all the social media platforms at Rose Gold Cover. Whatever you want to do, okay. If you do not give me permission to say your name and where you from, I will say the question as anonymous, okay. We got to protect our integrity here for the show, but we also want to protect you, okay. If you don't give me your name and your information at the end, I'm going to just assume that you don't want it to be found out about. Listen, if you want to support the show, we are 100% produced and brought on by this. All costs, okay. If you are watching me right now, this costs money for this to happen, okay. We have a slot on the network here in the Minneapolis area on Speak Minneapolis Network, channel 17, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Those things cost, but we are 100% generated by donations from listeners, okay. If you would like to support the show, please do so at heartbreakhillpodcast.com. Until next time, look,